Let me begin by saying how very good it is to see all of you here this evening at the Apostolic Nuncio Church. It's especially good because it has been a long time since we have been able to hold this event. Indeed, the last time this reception for the Pope's Day took place was 3 years ago in June of 2019, hosted by my distinguished predecessor, His Excellency Archbishop Gabriele Caccia, who several months later, in November of 2019, was transferred by Pope Francis to the United Nations in Rome, the United Nations in New York, my city. He began his work in New York there just a few months before the COVID pandemic began. And of course, because of the COVID pandemic here in Manila, there was no reception here in the Nunciature in 2020 or in 2021. So finally today, after a hiatus of 3 years, our festivities continue with lots of joy. And it's fitting this evening that we give thanks to God that the pandemic, though not ended, has certainly receded or subsided and allowed us to return to a semblance of normal life. We Catholics are still waiting to hear the words, "The mask is ended, go in peace." Excuse the pun. But we are surely getting closer to that moment. It's been a momentous 3 years. Not only did Archbishop Caccia move to New York, not Rome, but in that same year, His Eminence Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle was asked by Pope Francis to come to Rome to lead the dicastery of the evangelization of peoples, which directs the missionary work of the Catholic Church throughout the world. Then in November of 2020, Archbishop Jose Advincula, then of Capiz, was named Cardinal and later transferred to Manila as Archbishop of this capital city, where he arrived in June of last year, almost exactly a year ago. Congratulations once again, Your Eminence, on your appointment to Manila, and thank you for your presence with us this evening at the Nunciature. Not only have there been changes in the ecclesiastical landscape in the Philippines, but as we know, there have also been some changes in the governmental landscape as well, with the election last month by an historic margin of President-elect Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., who in less than 48 hours from now will take his solemn oath of office as the 17th President of the Republic of the Philippines. I had the privilege of expressing congratulations to the President-elect in my courtesy visit with him on June 10th. He and his new administration can be sure of the collaboration and the support of the Catholic Church and the Holy See as he takes on the weighty responsibilities of his office. Permit me also, if you will, to read the message which His Holiness Pope Francis has just sent to President-elect Marcos for his inauguration. His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., President of the Republic of the Philippines, I send my congratulations and cordial good wishes to Your Excellency as you begin your mandate as the President of the Republic. In assuring you of my prayers that you will be sustained in wisdom and strength, I invoke Almighty God's blessings of peace and prosperity upon the nation. Pope Francis. Turning now from the national to the international landscape, there are at this moment, as we know, situations which are deeply troubling. The Holy Father has spoken repeatedly of his concern about the armed aggression against Ukraine, the nightmare of war, to quote the Holy Father, and he's appealing that weapons might give way to negotiations, real talks for a ceasefire and for a sustainable solution. The situation of migrants around the world also remains a source of deep concern to Pope Francis and to the Holy See. The news from the United States, the country of my birth, this morning of yet another unspeakable tragedy involving migrants must lead to concrete steps to protect these poor and vulnerable human beings wherever migration is happening. Let us work together as a family of nations to solve these and other problems which afflict humanity and cause so much human suffering. For me, speaking personally on this, my first formal celebration of Pope's Day here in the Nunciature in Manila, let me say what a joy it is for me to be here in the Philippines, which, as many of you know, has the third largest Catholic population in the world after Brazil and Mexico. For me, it is an honor and a privilege to represent Pope Francis in this great nation. The Holy See currently has diplomatic relations with 183 states and maintains more than 115 nunciatures, or in other words, embassies throughout the world. Here in Manila, we were very happy last year to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the Holy See and the Philippines under President Elpidio Quirino. I was personally very grateful for the participation of the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Teodoro Locsin, in a webinar that we had to mark that event, and for the expert technical help of the Pontifical and Royal University of Santo Tomas in organizing that event. And speaking of the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Teodoro Locsin, allow me also to take this opportunity to thank him for his service to his nation and for his kindness, his expertise, and his availability, as we see this evening, to the diplomatic corps since his appointment in October 2018. It has been a pleasure for all of us in the diplomatic corps to work with you, Secretary Locsin, and we wish you the very best in whatever the future holds for you. In conclusion, my dear friends, I invite you to join me in a toast. A toast to the well-being, happiness, progress, and prosperity of the Filipino nation, so dear to the heart of Pope Francis, and to its leaders, to President Rodrigo Roa Duterte and to President-elect Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. Mabuhay.